Hello and welcome back if you've been here before, and if you're new here, my name's Mark. I'm converting a 2009 Builder's Van Sprinter into a sleeps for, travels for camper van with a shower, toilet, kitchen, fixed double bed. The Sprinter is bright red and we called her Ruby. So I'll show you the progress today. I've done some little bits over the week after work in the evenings, and I didn't do any filming, as I don't sometimes, so I'll show you that, and then we'll get on with today, which is going to be the cladding. So if this is the kind of thing you want to see, click subscribe and click the like button as the video goes along if you like the video, and click like even if you don't. Why wouldn't you? You know, help a guy out. So if you want to go back and have a look at the videos and the progress and how we've got to here, so the electrics and things like that, putting the windows in, they're all already on the channel, so you can go back and have a look at them and do a bit of binge watching. Don't forget to give the thumbs up though. So here we are, we've painted. So I've filled in some seams. If you remember, there were a bit here, but there were a big hole there. Filled that in. If you look really close you can see it, but from over here it looks quite okay. And that's the look I'm going for, which is at a distance looks okay. So the walls have been painted. Let me see if I can get a bit more. That's better. On that side too, you can still see some seams, but they're going to be behind the shower. Turned out that was really difficult to paint down the side of the chairs, simply because the chair is so close to the wall, or the seat is close to the wall, that the roller was a squeeze. So we've had to polythene the seat up so we don't damage the seats with paint. So it's starting to look something like that. Hole, by the way, if I've not mentioned it before, is going to be a bit of storage in there, which will be under the table for charging cables, things like that will drop into there. That's the plan. I've managed to get the big cables, the DC to DC, behind the wall, because they were, I had initially tucked them in here, but then they started to interfere with the seat belt mechanisms and stuff, so put them behind the wall now. They're in there, safe out the way. A little bit comes out there, but that'll be under the bench seat stroke bed, so that's not a problem. I want to box this window in, but I can't box it in until I put the USB back, so that's that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to clad the ceiling. I bought some tongue and groove. I bought the thin stuff, so it's lighter. There was some 19mm thick, but the weight across the ceiling I think is just it's something I'm trying to avoid. So I've got the thin stuff, which was cheaper. The thicker stuff, the 19mm, would go front to back in one piece. It was 4.8 meters long, so I'd have to cut a little bit off, and I would have a full length without any joins. I've ended up having to go for 2.4s, so they're going to be joins. And in the mishmash of all this stuff you can see on the ceiling, what I've done is I've added a strip of ply, 12mm ply, so that's the batten, and then I've added this ply. And the reason for that is here is where the cladding is going to stop and the next piece of cladding is going to start. So I only add about an inch, well it was an inch, to get the ends on. So I've put this wider piece on, so I can now come onto here, fix this one, come onto there, fix this one. But then this made this part of the ceiling lower, so I've had to put a strip on every batten, so it's level again all the way along, just because of this one piece. So we're going to end up with a seam all the way along here, a joint all along here, and then I'm going to look to see how it looks, and if I can't live with that, I'm going to put a piece of trim across to cover the joint. But that's the plan. I expect it to take me a couple of days. We're not going to varnish it until it's up. Just for time, I just want to get it up, and then I might be rushing it, but I just want to get it up and then varnish it when it's up, or seal it when it's up with some satin clear varnish. The other thing we're doing is we're using cladding clips. Now again, I've seen a couple of videos with people saying don't use cladding clips, they're quite weak and flimsy, and you know, all the ceiling weight is going to be held up with that little bit of tin. But I'm going to do it because I don't want screws in there. It's bad enough having a joint. I don't want screws in there visible everywhere. So I'm going to do it. There's going to be a cladding clip on every thing, every batten. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 5 cladding clips on every piece of wood. So that's got to make it strong enough. Maybe. Once I'm going down the road and I go over a few big potholes and speed humps and things, then I'll probably end up having half my ceiling falling down and it'll be a disaster, but I'll find out and I'll learn if that's the case, that's the case, and I'll repair it with some screws. I'm going to try and avoid the screws at the minute. So I'll go get my cladding, get it unpacked. It'll all become clear, maybe. Let's see, as we go, progress. Yay, yay, woohoo, whoop, whoop, my ass. Okay, so we've got the first piece lined up on props. And again, I've seen people start in the centre and then work to the edges. I'm not doing it, I'm going to start where it is there in that corner, which is there, if you can see it. And there's a prop and another prop. And I'll go across. Now the reason I'm doing that is the max air, which is placed there-ish, and the skylight, which is behind us here, are not lined up in the centre anyway. I was using the ribs on the roof to decide where to cut, and they're not perfectly in the middle, so I don't see the point. I might live to regret that, but we'll see. So the next thing to show you is these cladding clips. Bear with. So the cladding clips, which is this little thing, and what you're supposed to do, I think, is you put that goes onto the tongue groove, so that goes onto the groove, and then you get nails, and the nail goes up and in. Now there's a couple of things with that. I'm not keen on nailing things because obviously it's causing a vibration across all my struts and things, and am I going to do any damage? So I was looking at screws, and just before I'm looking at screws instead. So this is it with a little tiny screw, which will give it, obviously it'll go in, I don't know if you can see it or not. Where are we? Come on, there. So I don't know if it'll go in, well it will go in and have some teeth to hold it in, whereas a nail, to me a nail is potential just to slide out, but anyway. But it's whether this bit with the head is going to be restricted for the next piece that's going in, because when you look at it compared to the screw head, the nail head, sorry, the nail head's quite flush, there's not a lot there. This thing is sticking out, so decisions to make. I don't know what to do. I might go with a screw and then see if the next piece goes in. If it doesn't, replace the screws with nails, I suppose. I prefer the screw just because of the security of holding it in. Let's see. So I've gone, the first one is a screw. Happy with it. And the other thing that I need to do is I need to put a screw into there to give this end some, I mean this is going to get covered anyway, but I need to sort of hide a screw, if you like, in there. But where's it gone? There it is. So I got an offcut, because there is an offcut already, and I've looked at whether this is going to fit nice. And it does, it fits with the screw, so screw is the answer rather than nail. And then the next one and the next one and the next one. So this is looking promising. Shouldn't be too optimistic, a long way to go. So I waited until I'd done a few, and I think it's going pretty well. I am going to have one seam here which I'll put a piece of trim across, I'm hoping to hide that. But yeah, these things are working. It's pretty solid. I can't see any reason why they would come down. I am putting one on every single opportunity. Sometimes I'm putting two. That's my first light, which is the shower light. That's over the shower area. And I'm now getting to the part where we start to look at the max air fan opening. And the way I'm balancing this is I'm putting this on there. This isn't fastened in, by the way, this piece. So I'm putting this on there just enough to stop the prop falling, and then I'm tucking this over the top, which is helping me to do it single-handed. So that's working out. You find your methods as you go, don't you? So I'm pretty pleased. This bit at the back will be boxed in to about here somewhere, so that's fine there. I'm happy with that. And then we've got to get round this skylight. But yeah, it's going reasonably well. So that's a weekend's worth, 2 days. Reasonably happy with it. There's some finishing bits to do here, look. I've got to box this in, I've got to work out how I'm going to hang them bits. How I'm going to hang them bits. Need something here, and then it needs boxing in. This is up temporarily. I put some big screws in because we've got to try and... My ceiling, I've ended up with far too much thickness to be able to put this against something nice. But fly screen, blackout, so that works. My lights are in instead of them temporary scrappy bits of wood, and my max air's in with the frame around it. That's all pretty. These voids with all my electricals are going to be the last things I do. So I've got to put some switches in, and then the electrics can be on permanently. Framing out that window, little jobs, and then it'll be, we think, the shower, which is going to go end of this CLS here. The shower's going to start here somewhere, and then to there, with a little gap at the back of the seats. We're thinking we might be able to put some kind of a slide in, slide out ladder, big full thing, or two halves or something, I don't know. Or we might end up using the whole thing for the shower right up to there. Might not know. But quite pleased with the weekend, how the weekend's gone. Not too shabby, I don't think. Good. Oh, and it's plain wood, we haven't varnished it. I varnished a piece. And I'll show you what happened to it actually, which is a bit of a concern. So we did some varnishing. This is clear satin, so it just puts a slight, that's obviously the original, and it brings the grain out, puts a colour on it, only slightly, which I'm happy with. I like that. The problem is that one has ended up bowing in a little bit. More of a worry is that one. That one's bowed out loads, and of course we did it with a sponge on that half, did it with brush on that half to try and find out what the kind of finish was going to be like and whether there were going to be any brush lines. But I can't put that on my ceiling and have my ceiling going like that all on every piece. Now that piece seems to have bowed the other way slightly. That one has as well. I did see one video where somebody were putting the cladding ceiling up and they did both sides, and they did the back side first, let that dry, then did the front side, and they did say it's to stop it bowing and warping, but I've only ever seen one person do it, so I didn't do it. So I've put it up plain, ready just to paint that straight onto the ceiling, put my lights out, paint it straight on, job's good. But if it's going to do that to every piece and they're all going to warp, and it's going to look crap. And the minute it's flat, and I saw somebody else as well saying, when you put your ceiling up, don't do anything to it for a couple of months, let it expand and retract with the heat, let it crack and find its place, then you can do all your bits of filling, and then you can do something with it and it'll be settled. But I don't know. That's just a concern, I can't have it like that. Well, that's the ceiling done up to the point of putting stain on it. I do like this, it's a nice, it brings out this kind of stuff, it makes it nice. You know what I mean?